Hello and welcome to the Diverge Podcast. This week's episode is all about the Absa Cape Epic and the Cape Town Cycle Tour, building up to both events and looking at the teams that will be taking part in the 2025 Absa Cape Epic and the individuals who are likely to be in the mix for victory at the Cape Town Cycle Tour. Of course, the Cape Town Cycle Tour takes place first this weekend on the 9th of March, and then the following weekend, 16th of March, the 21st Absa Cape Epic gets underway. We'll be starting with the Epic though, because the team lineups were released last week Friday, and first look at the big names. We'll be mixing it up in this year's race. I've just finished writing the men's who to watch story, the women's stories in my head, but not on paper quite yet. So this is a sneak peek at my thoughts on the women's race at this point. The men to watch though, breaking them up into 5-star favorites, 4-star favorites, and then the 3-star favorites. 5-star favorites, the guys who are going to be in there for dicing it out for victory, in my mind at least, or as I see the race unfolding at least. And the number one favourites, defending champion Matt Beers and his unlikely teammate Keegen Swenson. Of course, different factory teams. Matt racing for Specialized Off-Road in the Lifetime Grand Prix. Keegen racing for Santa Cruz Bicycles. So they've teamed up under a charity for Outride Toyota Songo. It's a long, well-worn path this now for different factory teams to race together. Of course, it's something that Christoph Sauser pioneered when he raced with Barry Stander back in 2008, when they actually founded Songo.info for that race. But Nino Schurter has raced for World Bicycle Relief as well. So it's not an unknown to the Epic to bring two factory races from different teams in together. Matt, of course, 8 Absa Cape Epic finishes. He's won the race on 3 occasions, including back-to-back titles in 2023 and 2024. 11 stage victories. Keegan's best result thus far, 11th on 2 occasions, most recently in 2023 when he raced with EF Education's Lachlan Morton. Keegan's never really been pushed by a partner at the Epic. Never had a partner that's really allowed him to make a full go of it. So yeah, it's going to be a test for him. Matt knows exactly what to do to win the race, and for me, they are the big favorites, probably just because of Matt's pedigree and how strong Matt is. And once again, though, this year's race has got a lot of climbing. If anybody has seen Matt in the last month or so, he is very, very lean. He's also just got married, but he was exceptionally well behaved at his wedding. I hear did no drinking at all. So Matt's very lean at the moment, so the climbs shouldn't be a problem. There's not a lot of long climbs in this year's Epic. There's a lot of steep ones, but like the longest ones are probably 2 kilometers, maybe 2.5 kilometers long. So Matt shouldn't lose too much time to the out and out climbers on a climb like that, if he loses any time at all. And then pretty much every single stage, as is the way with the Epic, has a nice long flat run into the finish of between 5 and 10 Ks, and if Matt and Keegan are within 30 seconds of anybody that's got away from them when they hit the flats, they will definitely reel them back in again. We've seen that. It's kind of the way Matt has paved his way to victory over the last couple of years, and can definitely look for that again this year. The second team, both in numbers and on my list of favourite teams to watch, the Scott SRAM team, Nino Schurter and Filippo Colombo. I think Filippo is probably the strongest rider that Nino will have raced with since Lars Foster in 2019. And he's a rider that we've seen at the Big Five mountain bike challenge by Mbuko and Knesfontein is on superb form, climbing really well. The trails here in South Africa suit him as well. He won the Tankwa Trek with Nino back in 2022. So racing here really does suit him, and I think they will be a force to be reckoned with. And unlike in the last few years where the wheels have fallen off for Nino's partners towards the end of the race, I think Filippo Colombo is going to be strong right until the end, and that could be the difference maker for Scott SRAM this year, and for Nino to add to his tally of victories. He of course also has finished the race eight times, just like Matt Beers. Also 11 stage wins, just like Matt Beers, and where the difference is that he's only got 2 overall victories, 2017 and 2019. So a long time ago now, and he would desperately like to get that 3rd victory as well, I'm pretty sure. Speed Company Racing then, or ORBEA Leatt Speed Company Racing, to give them their full name, Georg Egger and Lucas Baum. Lucas, of course, the European marathon champion at the moment. They won in 2022, breakout performance there. They won 4 stages, and things have maybe not quite gone as well for them didn't go as well for them in 2024. 2023 was still a great race, and they had some misfortune there. Otherwise, they would have won it. But Georg, maybe not quite on the form, or hasn't been on the form that Lucas is on. Tankwa he was ill, suffering the after effects of a stomach bug that he picked up while traveling to South Africa. So, yeah, I don't know if they're here yet. They'll probably be arriving very, very soon, though, and they will both certainly be up for it, and maybe being the 3rd of the 5-star favorites will probably suit them, being not outsiders, but a little bit more of dark horses. I think will suit them, not being the outright favorites as they were in 2023. And then 2024, they'll probably also right up there as the outright favorites. So yeah, I think it's going to suit them coming from behind a little bit more. In the 4-star favorites, Singer KTM, there's lots of new lineups, of course, as well this year, because of Canyon Northwave dissolving, and Villa Pirelli, they were up until the last, of Villa Vittoria, actually, they were up until the last, having changed up and focusing more on cross country. So those riders, the Canyon and Villa riders, have sort of spread out amongst the other teams. So Andreas Seewald, former world champion, current German marathon champion, and Jakob Hartmann racing together as Singer KTM. Andreas, of course, has won 3 stages, was second in 2022 when Speed Company pipped them on the final day. Jakob has only finished once before last year when he finished 6th, so it'll be a big step up, big learning curve for Jakob to really get up there and challenge for a podium place, or potentially even for victory. But I also feel kind of Andreas Seewald has a little bit of the Alban Legatus about him. It's just one of those guys that maybe there's something about racing in South Africa that doesn't quite suit him. Maybe it's an undefinable factor. It's more sort of a vibe I get than anything else. He also just seems to be a little bit luckless. So, and you need an absence of bad luck, or at least good luck to win the Cape Epic, and he's never been able to string 8 days of good luck together. So yeah, if he's able to do that, they'll challenge for a podium place, maybe even more. If not, yeah, maybe just outside of the top 5 or a top 5 place would be good for Singer KTM. Another team of those sort of breakups that have come together. Kimatize ORBEA, Samuele Porro, of course, well known to the Absa Cape Epic, and Mark Stutzman. Samuele's done finished 6 epics already, best results 3rd in 2019. He's got a stage win. Mark Stutzman, 2 epics, 4th in 2024, also picked up a stage win. Stutzman, of course, is the Swiss marathon champion. He won the Spa Swiss Epic last year as well, when he was still with Canyon Northwave, and they'll be strong. They'll be pushing for a podium place, at least top 5. Otherwise, But yeah, I don't really see them being in the shake-up for victory. Then there's Buff Megamo, of course. Hans Becking dropped out, which left Wout Alleman without a partner, and Martin Stosek, the new signing for Buff Megamo, stepped in. And as much as I love Hans, I think this probably makes the team stronger, to be fair. And they're probably a 4.5-star favorite, maybe even a 5-star favorite. They're team number 5 on the race numbers, or racing with race board number 5. And they could really mix it up. Martin, of course, was second in 2022. He's won 2 stages. Wout was third last year, won 4 stages. Both finished the race 3 times. So they're in the sweet spot of that experience and firepower, and they will really be a team to watch. Should probably upgrade them to a 5-star favorite, to be perfectly honest. Singer KTM has a second team in the race, also a 4-star favorite, Simon Stibian and Martin Frey. Lots and lots of experience there, 14 finishes between them, 2 stage wins. They were second in 2021, which when you look back at it now is a little bit of an anomaly of a race. Because it was that October epic, maybe a lot of the big teams didn't come out, or the very top riders didn't come out. Nina Schurter, for example, wasn't here that year. So you kind of feel, how good was that epic, really, looking back on it? But still, they brought it home in second that year. They will be pushing for a top 5 again, and the combined firepower of Singer KTM with Seewald and Hartmann and Stibian and Frey, the 4 of them together could create quite a nice double act, and could really mix it up amongst the teams, with maybe more outright firepower in one squad, but the 2 together, working together, could make an interesting mix. And then it's my top ranked South African team in Buko Kemchamp, Tristan Nortje and Marco Joubert. I think a podium place is a realistic aspiration for them. They've both been flying so far this year. They won the Tankwa Trek pretty commandingly, and then Tristan was leading the Big 5 when he took a wrong turn. Filippo Colombo went wrong with him, and of course then ended up winning the race. But maybe Tristan just sort of doesn't have quite the mental resilience that Filippo has. When things go wrong for him, maybe gets a little bit down on himself. So it'll be interesting to see if he can put 8 days together. He has had 2 individual finishes to his name. He was instrumental in Matt and Chris Blevins winning the 2023 Absa Cape Epic on the last day. He really helped split the field and put the hurt to Andre Frischneck that year on that last day, climbing out of Lawrenceford. So he has proven himself at the Epic, but maybe hasn't strung it together quite as much. Marco Joubert has won a stage of the Epic. That was alongside Pieter de Tooy back in 2022 when they won the Absa African jerseys as well. But for them, the Absa African jerseys this year is really just a bonus. They are going for that podium place. Top 5 at the very least, but a podium place is really something they should be aiming for, and would be great. Would be the best performance. I think they're the strongest South African team for a long time, and it would be great to see that rewarded with the best performance by a South African team at the Cape Epic since Matt Beers and Alan Hatherley in 2019 when they finished 5th. Another one of the Italians that's been on the move, Toparo Kenda FSA's Fabian Robinsteiner. He's the reigning Italian marathon champion, racing with Switzerland's Casey South. Casey has finished as an individual before, but no official result to his name. Fabian Robinsteiner, 8 finishes, one of the most experienced men in the race. He was 4th in 21 and 2023, has racked up stage wins before as well, 3 stage wins. I think a stage win for Robinsteiner and South would be great. A top 10 finish for them would also be good. They're sort of the first of my 3-star favorites. Definite outsiders, but I think strong contenders for a top 10. Then it's on to one of the most familiar teams in the Absa Cape Epic, the Bulls, racing as the Bulls Mavericks in 2025. Simon Schneller and Axel Rudil Cortinat. The Bulls maybe not quite the force, definitely not the force they were in the early years. They've been coming to the Absa Cape Epic for 18 years now. Of course, had great success with Carl Platt and Stefan SRAM in those early years when they won 4 titles. But since 2016, when Platt and Joubert won their last one, haven't quite got in there. They've managed to win stages though, including last year when they won the last stage when Simon Schneller won the last stage with Urs Huber. So stage win for Schneller and Rudil Cortinat would be good, and a top 10 finish I think would also be great for them. Hard to see them bettering that though and breaking into the top 5. Another team that same sort of thing can be said for is the BH Colombo team of David Valera Santano and Tiago Ferreira. Tiago is a former marathon world champion, a former 2-time European marathon champion, and the reigning Portuguese marathon champion. They're both 36 now. Time's sort of ticking a little bit for them in that. Best results, 16th for Valera Santaro and 5th for Ferreira back in 2016, which was also the year that he went to the Olympics and won the marathon world title. So good results at the Epic is probably going to be good for him for the rest of the year as well. But you struggle to see them doing more than challenging for the odd stage win and the top 10. Then into some of the South Africans to watch. Pyga Eurostil's full base and Jaden Tolo. Pyga mixing up their teams a little bit there, picking the riders who are on the best personal form. Full base, 11 finishes. He was 5th in 2015, 4 stage wins. He really knows how to win the Absa African jersey. He's won it on 6 occasions. If Mbuko Kemchamp don't live up to their billing, can't maintain their consistency throughout the week, you're going to have to look to Pyga Eurostil to be the favourites for that, or the second favourites for the Absa African jersey competition, and they will be consistent because Phil knows exactly how to race an Absa Cape Epic. Then my sort of dark horse pick for the race for maybe a top 5, probably a top 10, is the Computer Mania Cannondale team of Daniel van der Walt and Ocean Specker. Again, this is more sort of the vibe I get out of them than anything else, so we will see how that plays out. They were strong at the Tankwa Trek, they climbed well, and it's a course that should suit them. As could be said for the Honeycomb 226s, Mark Pritson and Wessel Botha. Wessel, the reigning South African marathon champion. Wessel has struggled with respiratory issues in stage races before, apparently allergic to dust, which isn't ideal as a mountain biker. But yeah, I think one of those teams that'll be up there in the Absa African jersey competition, maybe in and around the top 10, just outside it, and a team that'll be sort of looking to pick up the pieces if Pyga and Mbuko Kemchamp don't live up to their billing in the red jersey race. The other very exciting team from a fan's perspective is GVA Gold, Greg van Avermaet, and his gravel racing teammate Julian Simons. They have both stopped racing on the road. Julian, a lot younger, as a 26-year-old, of course. Greg, former Olympic champion, former Paris-Roubaix winner as well, making their debuts in the Absa Cape Epic, and lots of Belgians will be following along very closely to see exactly how they go. And then on to the women's teams for the 2025 Absa Cape Epic. The big name, the big team to watch, Toyota Specialized, Annika Langvad is back, 5-time winner of the race. Annika's started the Epic on 5 occasions, won all 5 of those. Most of them at a canter as well, probably apart from the second one where they got that, where they had a little bit of, Annika and Ariane had a little bit of trouble. But since then, she has been imperious. She's racing with Sofia Gomez Villafane, the Argentinian, of course, won in 2022 as well, has been second and third since then, and or third and third since then, and will be very eager to get back on the top step of the podium. They are by far and away the outright favourites, the 5-star favourites for the women's race. It's difficult really to see much of a challenge from the other teams, unfortunately, which has kind of always been the way of Annika at the Epic. But Buff Megamo, Efficient Infinity, SCB, SRAM, Cannondale, ISB Sports, 2 teams, and the MAP team will all give it a good show. I think Buff Megamo probably the best of the rest of those teams, maybe also worthy of 5-star favorite status. Rosa van Doorn and Janine Verst. Rosa is the Dutch and European marathon champion at the moment. It's a very, very strong combination, even though they're making their Epic debuts. Vera Laza and Alexis Okada racing together for the second time as Efficient Infinity SCB SRAM. Be interesting to see how they go with a year of extra experience together as a team. I was very impressed with Alexa last year on her debut. Alexis, sorry, on her debut. So yeah, I think they could be a team to hopefully challenge Toyota Specialized, but definitely should be in the mix for a podium place. Cannondale ISB Sports has 2 teams, Constanza and Dr. Steph Waldner, racing together. I think they're maybe not quite the strongest of the 2 teams. I think Monica Calderon and Tessa Corticas are probably the stronger pairing there. Tessa's a former triathlete, got into mountain biking relatively late, and has really grown in leaps and bounds. So yeah, I think they're also going to be in the mix for a podium place there in the women's race, as will the MAP team. Hayley Smith, Canada's Hayley Smith, not to make things confusing at all in the race, with 2 Hayley Smiths in the race and 3 Haleys in total. But yeah, Canada's Hayley Smith been racing a lifetime Grand Prix in the last few years, a real star of mountain biking in North America. So it'd be great to see her racing in South Africa for the first time. And she's partnering with Austria's Ella Bluer. So yeah, they'll be also in the podium mix there. Sort of in the next tier of favorites, 3rd tier favorites, maybe 3.5 tier favorites there. The E4 team, Margot Moschetti and Samara Shepherd. Great to have Samara back at the race as well. One of the most classy riders in the women's peloton, and always a great ambassador for the sport beyond the bike too. So always good to have Samara back at a Epic Series event. For me, the most exciting of the all South African teams is the Titan Racing Safari Essence Honeycomb team of Bianca Hoare and Haley Preen. Obviously, a bit of a last minute combination that with Danelle du Toit, not Danelle Niestrydom du Toit, not being at her best level at the early part of the season following illness over the off season. So last minute teaming up there of Haley and Bianca, and the 2 of them are so ridiculously competitive in and of themselves that I think they'll make a good pairing. And they definitely have a never say die attitude to racing, and they will punch above their weight, I'm very, very sure. The rest of the women's field and the full 50 team men's field list can be found on the Epic website, and then of course on diverge.info. I'll link to that story, the men's story. The women's story will be up within the next couple of days as well, and you'll be able to read that full preview as well as look at who the full lineup is on diverge.info. And then off the mountain bike and onto the road for the Cape Town Cycle Tour. Yeah, I mean, it is the biggest timed road race in the world, the biggest timed bicycle race in the world, and sort of a highlight of the South African cycling season. Just under 30,000 entrants this year, so the biggest in a while, biggest in probably over a decade at least. So it's good to see the numbers going up again. That's of course because there is that 42k short distance as well. But the main event, the elite men's and women's races. Elite men's race, Kent Main is the defending champion. For my money, probably the favourite for this year's race as well. Though it'll have to come down to a reduced bunch sprint again for Kent to take the title. Though I think that's probably how the race will play out. I can't see a big group of more than 10 or so going to the line in the men's race. Mark Pritson, also another former winner, one to watch. Obviously he'll be racing the Epic as well, but yeah, always a good one to keep an eye out for on the road. Then Matt Beers racing the Cycle Tour for the first time in a while, and Matt has a plan. Spoke to him earlier in February, and he is under no illusions of what he needs to do to win the race, which would be to attack early, probably solo, maybe with Dan Loebscher, though Dan's not down to race at this point. I think he probably will be there, and then once he's away, Matt needs to stay away, which is much easier said than done. But yeah, we'll see how the racing plays out on Sunday. If that Matt does manage to get away and then gets pulled back, Travis Steadman, his Toyota Specialized teammate, is then a young rider to watch who could take advantage of that, sit on while everybody else is chasing Matt down, and then attack once the group gets back together and try to go solo in the last 5-10 Ks. Could be the way it plays out for Travis. And then the final man to watch, in my assessment, is Luke Moyer. Luke, of course, without a factory team for 2025 after his new Swiss team folded before a race was raced. So he's got something to prove. He's got a lot to prove. He was in that group that Kent Main escaped from last year. I think he was fifth in the sprint for second. He ended up coming fifth on the day. So I think using that experience and then harnessing the anger of not having a team, I think we can expect exciting things from Luke, and for him to roll the dice as well and to really just go for it, because he has absolutely nothing to lose. In the women's race, it could sort of be billed as a battle between Tiffany Keep and Sonara Grove. They went to the line last year. Tiffany won by a wheel width. Tiffany has always done well, always thrived at the Cape Town Cycle Tour. So for me, even though Sonara has won Ride Joburg since then, and then the South African road title, where she beat Tiffany and Hayley Preen in a sprint, I think Tiff probably still just tips it in my mind. But we will see how that plays out on the day. They'll of course also have to look out for Vera Lauser, who's also always gone well in the cycle tour, always been in that last selection of sort of 5 to 8 women that go to the line, and Vera is dangerous in a small bunch like that. Then there's the LK team from Germany. They're bringing 9 riders to the Cape Town Cycle Tour. Top ranked among them on UCI points at this stage is Nella Lang. Very much dark horses. No idea what to expect from the Germans at all. So it'll be interesting to see if they use team dynamics, if they break the race up a little a little bit, or if they sit in and sort of let it unfold as the South Africans race it. Two riders that will need to do something different if they're to win the event, though, are Hayley Preen and Emma Pallant. Both very, very strong, both great time trialers, but both have been beaten numerous times out of that small group. So yeah, they'll need to work together or get away on their own in the run-in if they are to win the race one fields. Yeah, so that is the Cape Town Cycle Tour, and a bit of a build-up to the Cape Epic. Let me know what your thoughts are. Got it completely wrong, or if it's how it could potentially play out. We will see, of course. Time will tell. Sunday for the Cape Town Cycle Tour, the 9th, and then the 16th when the Cape Epic gets underway. In between those two, it's the Songo.info Champions Race presented by Fibertime. That's on Wednesday, the 12th of March, and I'll bringing you a report from that after the event on the Thursday. So until then, cheers.